a dilemma. I recognize that beginning in the Depression, when we were deciding whether it was going to be, the country was deciding whether it would be communism or it would be anarchy or it would be capitalism, something would bail us out of the thing capitalists put us in. They arrived at the New Deal. Mm-hmm. And it built a middle class.
That's right.
And it built the strongest nation on the face of the earth.
Yep.
We're now dismantling that just as fast as we can.
We have been for 44 years, yep.
Yeah, I know. Well, I've been around for 81 of those.
So you've seen it.
And,
you know what I'm talking about.
I've actually been on the right side for a while. We kept some black watermelon pickers out all day during an election when a liberal was running against our client, a conservative. And the guy came into the meeting after the election. We didn't know we were going to lose because everybody was more logical than we. But we cut down the losses. Mm-hmm. And so, I played in that system before I was old enough to vote.
Interesting.
And never went. I married somebody that was from the other party the same year that the county where we lived went absolutely to that party. Mm-hmm. That was when the Republicans took over our county. Mm-hmm. But so I never got into politics after that. But why did specifically the French, why do they get so upset when we talk about socialism? Why do they talk? Is that European socialism is different? I know communist socialism was.
Yeah.
I know. Sorry, not communist. I know that the
Soviet socialism,
Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Theirs was different.
Well, there's a lot of there's a lot of confusion about terminology, David, and some of it's justified. I mean, Karl Marx referred to communism as socialism. It was Engels who called it communism. He came up with that phrase, if my recollection is correct. And so communism, was based on Marx's notion of socialism, and that's why the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, the USSR, was not called the Union of Soviet Communist Republics. It was the Socialist Republics. And they just used the language of Engels and then the language of Lenin, that communism, that they were creating these giant communes, mostly agricultural, but there were some industrial as well.
Right, and there were some plans about how many crops they would grow.
Yeah, exactly.
And they never.
Yeah, the 5-year plans and all this kind of stuff. But the bottom line is that for a long time, I mean, from roughly the Bolshevik Revolution. I mean, you could argue much longer than that. Abraham Lincoln and Karl Marx corresponded. I mean, they were contemporaries. In fact, those letters have been published now. So you could argue that from the middle, anyway, of the 1800s of the 19th century, but certainly from the early 20th century until, really the 1920s or 30s, what we call communism was referred to as socialism. And what we call socialism now, like democratic socialism or, European socialism, was simply referred to as the New Deal and, the new way of doing things. Now, the Republicans tried to, during the New Deal, the Republicans tried to claim that what FDR was doing was communism. And that didn't fly. People wanted it. People wanted their jobs. They wanted their unemployment benefits. They wanted to be able to join a union. They wanted to have the right to vote. All that stuff that came along with the New Deal, that socialism stuff, particularly the economic part of it. But for a long time, conservatives, in particular, Republicans broadly, have been playing these word games. And you see it with Trump. I mean, he's calling Mamdani a communist. Mamdani's not a communist. He's not even close to a communist. It's the exact same thing as the 1956 advice that Joe McCarthy gave Republicans, which is never use the word democratic to describe members of the Democratic Party, which was named by Thomas Jefferson as the Democratic Party, by the way, the Democratic Republican Party back in the day. And they dropped the Republican in the 1820s. He said, instead, always call it the Democrat Party with emphasis on the rat. And they still do it. And they do it so much that on the TV news, on the Sunday shows, you hear the commentators refer to the Democrat Party. There's literally no such thing. Just like,
or the Speaker of the House, he does the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all of them. This is a Republican thing. If you're a Republican, you're not allowed to actually say the name of the opposition party, which is insane. I mean, can you imagine how the GOP, how these Republicans would act if all the Democrats started referring to them as the Jeffrey Epstein Republicans? Or something like that. I mean, it's like.
I understand.
So I don't take it seriously on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's extraordinarily serious because you're talking about